The culture of bullying is growing in our country, I fear. We've got it in the playground, and if it's in the playground, it's presumably in the staff room, and it's like a disease, is like a legitimizing of spite, whether this is simply in spreading rumors, if one is in a position of inferiority, or more likely, taking advantage of somebody who is a junior and making their life particularly difficult. Nothing that they do is ever considered to be good enough. Um, that's one. That's one way. Another way, of course, is by literally undermining all their efforts until they feel worthless. So a lot of the culture of bullying is about the perception of the person, the victim, the perception of how they are treated. A bully arguably may not even realize that they are bullying, but it doesn't make it any the less painful, and it doesn't make it any the less significant. So somebody may, for example, Mr. Raab may say that he has high standards, but he should be working, or somebody like Mr. Raab should be working with colleagues, not with slaves. And that fundamentally is the problem. We need to respect one another. We need to be thinking in community rather than thinking of somebody who has all the answers and everybody else has none, because it's very unlikely that the boss has all the answers. It's very unlikely that a minister is the fount of all information. It's more likely that the civil servants have the information and the minister is guided as much by them as by his election promises or her election promises. So, is it credible that a senior minister of the Crown could be a bully? Absolutely credible. Absolutely. Give somebody a lot of power and there's a chance that it will be abused. And is it possible that somebody can at the same time be commended for behaving appallingly, and at the same time, can be commended for behaving well, and at the same time be castigated for behaving appallingly? Yes. Yes. And is it possible that somebody can be bullied because they're simply not good at doing their job? Well, yes. They probably, it's possible that they don't know what they're supposed to be doing. It's possible that the commands are so stringent that they are placed in a permanent state of fear. Taking advantage of that is bullying, surely. How do you stand up to a bully? How do you deal with a bully? I made a video a while ago about this. The most important thing is, again, to act in community, to act together, to tell other people, to deal with the problem together. You can't deal with this problem on your own. And if necessary, to call out and to single out and to report the bully. I don't think challenging the bully in the playground and getting into some sort of physical confrontation is actually the solution. I don't think necessarily going to another authority figure is actually the solution. The solution, I think, is in community. So we need to see what happens with Mr. Raab. In all likelihood, Mr. Raab, because of the sheer number of allegations that are swarming around, Mr. Raab will have to go. Mr. Raab will be found to have failed the ministerial code in some form. And this will have a significant effect on Mr. Sunak's government because he's kept Raab in place for so long, and because Raab is so senior. Deputy Prime Minister? I mean, he may have a vague and vacuous role, but it is a role with a title which brings him so close to the seat of power, to the absolute seat of power, to the Prime Minister himself. Is it possible? Is it possible even that Mr. Raab could bully the Prime Minister into keeping him on? You know, how does somebody who looks so slight and ineffective wield such power? How can somebody like Mr. Raab be so intimidating? But, you know, I personally have asked this question about other people in the past. Give somebody power, and you give somebody the opportunity to abuse it. Power, as they say, corrupts. And we only have to look across at Mr. Putin. I think all bullies are redeemable. I think all politicians can be nudged onto the right path. But sometimes it's necessary to call out the bad uns. Sometimes it's necessary to call out and weed out the ones who simply do not learn.